We are living through very, very um, tumultuous times. And in tumultuous times, the one thing that we know for sure is that the future is going to change. We've been asked about the new normal for a long time. The new normal is a long time away. We have no idea what the new normal is going to be like, nor do we have a way of predicting it. The only thing we can do at this stage is to identify things to watch out for. And this is why I'm starting a Future Frameworks series where I will share with you the variables and how they interact with each other that we should be watching out for. So, what should we be looking out for, say, the future of education? Great question. Another video hopefully coming up on that one. Let's start small. What should we be looking for in for the to understand what the future of studentship will look like? And as I speak about future frameworks and future ways of being, I would not have skin in the game if I were to go down the conventional route and write a paper about it or a book about it, which is why I'm publishing it out here. It will eventually become a paper and all the conventional stuff. Conventions never go away. So that's rule number one of change. Got to pay homage to the old. But mainly here, it's the frameworks presented here for you to work with right now when you need it. And if you do use it in your academic works, I would appreciate a citation, something that pops up on the searches. I've given the framework of the citation on the first page. So let's get started on future frameworks. Um, there are three things that you need to watch out for a student. What is happening to student identity? What is happening to student agency? And what is happening to the student role? And as they interact with each other, how does it impact the decisions and the opportunities that are available to a student? And so let's start with each of them one by one. So, part one, I'm going to talk about identity, role, and agency. What does it mean? Examples. And then when they interact with each other, how do they give rise to these decisions and choices? Very quick one, this one. Identity. What kind of identities does a student adopt? Some people are regular students. You follow a regular pattern. You go to school, you go to college, you go to university, you go to higher education. You have a very standardized pattern as part of the traditional education system. You're a regular student. You're a good student. It's a term that's used in many, many countries to refer to students who are able to achieve a lot. High marks means a good student. In many other countries, a huge amount of effort put in by students gets them called a good student. So, whatever is valued in that country, the values of that culture represent a good student. These will impact the choices that you get later on. Are you a time student? Are you an adult who is going back to education? Are you a professional who is training and being getting certified? Are you in the corporate sector getting trained within your organization or being sponsored by your organization via corporate training for further progression and for enhancement of your capabilities and your competencies? And therefore your ability to deliver to the organization. Are you an enhancer? Are you a lifelong learner? What kind of a learner are you? What is your student identity? That's who are you as a student personally. In terms of roles, when you don the hat of a student, what is this hat that you put on? Are you an achiever? Are you somebody who creates who progresses through the system or even creates progress for others? So, are you a motivator to others? Do you mentor others? Do you create a multiplier effect? Uh, are you somebody who likes to discover new things? Are you the kind of student? Do you put on that hat where you say, I am the student and I'm going to go out and I'm going to win trophies and awards for myself and my school? Are you a debater? Are you a traveler? The term traveler is used technically in some education systems where you talk about transient students who travel from school to school and area to area. But otherwise, it could also mean that in this day and age, you have MBA programs spread across two or three different countries where you spend a term in each country. You have people who are children of diplomats cross-cultural impact comes into your role as a student and impacts how you take your studentship on. Are you an outsider? Do you put on the hat of an observer when you are sitting in your student domain? So those are the roles you take on, and that again affects the opportunities that will be available to you. In terms of agency, um, and this is going to be critical because so far students have been given very little agency. The system of the past almost denied students agency, saying, starting with the very definition of you are a blank slate, dear student, and we have to pour our knowledge and therefore your life and your agency as a student into you. Student choice was almost unheard of, except in the tiniest of things. Um, but as we go forward, the one thing we're going to see and one thing we should watch out for and see how it plays out is what happens to student agency. Do you have agency in the classroom as a student? Do you get to choose, for example, what posters go up on the wall when you're a little child? That's the kind of agency that has traditionally been given. But in the classroom or in the virtual classroom, do you get to decide, make decisions? Does the interaction allow you to lead the discussion in a particular way? Uh, can you derail the classroom, for example? Many troublemakers do that, but also many experimenters do that. Uh, Again, in terms of agency, can you choose your own course once you've enrolled for something? Can you say, okay, instead of this course, I want to sign up for that course within this larger domain? Can you choose your curriculum? Can you, can you choose your exam system, saying, I have this curriculum, but I do not want to take exam A, I want to take exam B, or I want to take multiple sets of exams, or I want to take my exam multiple times and see what my best score is. Are you given, how much agency are you given? How many times can you take the same exam? How much agency can you exercise, or are there rules that control your decisions over there? Can you choose your own learning pathways? Can you choose your own progression pathways, saying, after this, I will do that, and no, I will not do this for a while, but I will go there and then come back to the main track? Or here are multiple tracks and I can choose my progression pathway within that. Can you choose your own destinations? After you've done a course in engineering, can you do anything else? That's one of the bigger jokes, where many Indian parents, India is a large producer of engineers, say first do your engineering, child, and then you can do anything else in your life. So, do you actually get to choose your destination as a student? And of course, as we progress through time and achievement and hopefully economic security, student agency gets bigger and bigger and better and better. The third, now if we start putting them together, now we come to decisions. Your identity and role as a student. Hopefully, these will be some things that you can choose as a student. But if you're somebody who tries to understand the future of studentship, this will be a useful analysis tool for you. Your identity and role as a student determines what chances are offered to you. So, for example, if you are a full time student who is an award winner for the institution, what do you think the teachers and the professors are going to do? They're definitely going to write those letters of recommendation for you, improving the chances that you're offered. In fact, if they know for sure that this is a person who will win awards for me, they're going to bring more competitions to you, more opportunities to you. So you're going to have more and more chances to enhance that ability. If you happen to be, I'm randomly picking this right now, a corporate trainee, somebody who learns in the corporate environment, a student in that sense, and you happen to be somebody who progress a multiplier, part of the progression triad that we identified. You are a progressor. You happen to have the ability to enthuse others, and for one thing that is taught to you, you go ahead and teach 10 others. You're going to get more and more training opportunities for yourself. You're going to get more and more leadership chances. Saying, okay, this is one guy, if I teach him or her something, they will go out and multiply this knowledge tenfold. So, why don't I put them in charge of this new bunch of people who've come in, or these old people who need to learn new skills? And therefore, you get chances at leadership. So the chances that you get are determined by the combination of the identity you choose as a student or get, and the roles that you choose and get as a student. Moving on to the next, the agency and role combine to give you your choices. So, for example, if you have classroom agency and you are an achiever, then you're definitely going to be given the choice of sitting more exams. Whereas we have seen in many exam systems, those who are not likely to succeed, especially where teaching to the test is important, where class performance determines the funding that the school gets, then it does happen that you are unable, you're requested to not take the exam, for example. You're not given that choice. So you have to earn that choice even at that level, even in a very standardized system. Um, do you have choice, let's say, for your exam uh, or your learning pathway? Now, if you happen to be, say, if you've taken on the role of the debater in the classroom, either formally or informally, and you want agency over your learning pathway, what are you going to do if you're a smart student? You're going to obviously argue your case really well. You're going to try to enable the school system to be able to create spaces for you. And I'm still talking conventional school systems. We are not talking about future frameworks for schools or colleges or institutions today. We're still at the conventional there. Here we're only talking about the student future. So the student is going to be able to create debating opportunities or using their debating role, that this person is going to debate it. Let me just make this happen for him. Let me make this learning pathway happen for him. Practically, that is going to happen. There are more rigorous ways of analyzing this, but obviously, this is just a quick chat about it. Um, when you put together identity and agency, you define the sets of challenges that will may be made available to students or will be hurdles for students. Challenges are often both, sometimes at the same time. So if you happen to be a professional, and I haven't prepped this one, I'm just picking a professional here randomly, who wants to have agency over their destinations. Your identity and your agency combined together define the nature of the challenge that you have. If you're a full time student who has agency over their exams, you have one set of challenges. If you're a full time student who has no agency over their exams, then you have another set of challenges. In the second set, where you have no agency over your exams, you just have to go ahead and crack it. Whereas if you're a full time student and you can say, oh, I can either choose board A for my exams or board B for my exams, then your challenges are actually figuring out which set of exams is going to enhance your achievement level. Your challenges are different. Should I do both? Should I do one of them? Which one of them is going to work for me? In doing one, will I get the better teacher or the worst teacher? Which teacher will work for me? And suppose there's a choice between them. So your sets of challenges change because of the identity and the agency interaction over here. And that's how this framework is going to help you figure out what your studentship is going to look like in the future. This works for the near term future as well. If you're going to make a choice about becoming a student in the next month, it's still going to work for you. This framework is going to work if you are a future forecaster and you're trying to say this is what studentship is going to look like 10 years ahead. You can still use the framework. Make sure that you define the categories within identity to suit the timeline that you choose. If you're an analyst or a professor who is listening to this one, again, you can use this framework to be able to create an in-depth understanding of what studentship is going to look like. Even more interestingly, you are going to be able to create this very future of studentship if you play around and work through and analyze this framework that's been presented. Thank you so much. I hope to do a lot of interesting work